Let's dork out on some insurance. I'm Mike Vericki with Customers First Insurance Group, aka the Insurance Dork. Today we're talking about a question a lot of Michigan homeowners have. What's the difference between flood insurance and water backup coverage? Because when a basement takes on water, a lot of people assume homeowners insurance will just cover it. But that's not always true. And the reason is simple. In insurance, how the water got into the house matters just as much as the damage it caused. So today, I'm going to break down the difference between flood insurance and water backup coverage. I'll explain why that matters so much here in Michigan and help you understand where homeowners often get caught off guard. When a homeowner has water in the basement, the first thing they usually focus on is the damage. Wet carpet, room drywall, furniture soaked, or maybe the furnace or water heater got hit. But from an insurance standpoint, the first question is usually not how bad is the damage. The first question is, how did it get there? That is what determines coverage. Because not all water losses are treated the same way under a homeowner's insurance policy. If water came in from the outside as surface water, that may point to flood. If water backed up through a drain, sewer, or sump pump system, that may point to water backup coverage. So before you ever assume something's covered, the real question is not whether there is water damage. The real question is, what caused it? Let's start with flood insurance. A standard homeowner's policy usually does not cover flood damage. In simple terms, flood usually means surface water. Water that comes from outside the home and enters because land that is normally dry is now overwhelmed by water. That can happen from heavy rain, runoff, rising water, widespread flooding affecting an area or multiple properties. So if water comes across the ground and into your house from the outside, that is often considered flood. And that is why flood insurance is usually a separate, standalone policy. That part surprises a lot of people. They think, I have homeowners insurance, so I have flood coverage. Usually, you do not. Flood is one of the major coverage gaps homeowners often do not discover until after a bad storm. Now let's talk about water backup coverage. Water backup coverage is usually an optional endorsement added to the homeowner's policy. This is designed for a different type of water loss than flood. Water backup coverage may help cover damage when water backs up into the home through sewers, drains, and sump systems. This is not surface water rushing in from outside. This is more about water backing up through the systems connected to the home. That is why water backup coverage and flood insurance are not the same thing. They protect against different causes of loss. And one of the biggest mistakes homeowners make is assuming that if they have one, they automatically have the other. They do not. This matters everywhere, but it matters a lot in Michigan, and especially in Metro Detroit. Why? Because a lot of homes have basements, a lot of older infrastructure, and we get heavy rain events that can overwhelm drainage and sewer systems. That creates real problems for homeowners. A basement loss is often much more expensive than people expect. You may not just be dealing with water on the floor. You could be dealing with flooring, drywall, furniture, appliances, stored belongings, a water heater, cleanup and dry out costs. So when Michigan homeowners say, it's just a little basement water, it can turn into a very expensive claim very quickly. That is exactly why understanding the difference between flood insurance and water backup insurance matters before the next storm shows up. One of the biggest assumptions I see is this: water damage is water damage, so my homeowner's insurance should cover it. That sounds reasonable, right? But that is not how insurance works. Insurance cares about the cause of loss. If the cause is flood, a standard homeowner's policy usually excludes it. If the cause is water backing up through the sewer, drain, or sump system, coverage may only apply if you added a water backup endorsement. The danger is not just having water damage. The danger is thinking you're covered when you're not. That is where a lot of homeowners get blindsided. Why lower backup limits can be a problem. Here's another issue. Even when homeowners do have water backup coverage, the limit may be too low. A lot of people have an endorsement on the policy and assume they are in great shape. But if the limit's only $5,000 or $10,000, they may not go very far in a serious basement loss. Think about everything that could be involved. Tearing out the damaged materials, drying the area, replacing the flooring, replacing furniture, repairing the finished walls, dealing with damaged contents, replacing mechanical systems. Finished basements get expensive fast. So it is not enough to ask, do I have water backup coverage? You also need to ask, do I have enough? That's a very different question. If you have a finished basement, this conversation becomes even more important. Finished basements often include things like carpet or finished flooring, drywall and trim, couches and entertainment areas, home offices, kids' playrooms, workout equipment, electronics, storage, major home systems. That means the value in the basement may be much higher than you think. So if you only carry a small water backup limit, you may find out very quickly that it's not enough to restore everything. This is why homeowners with finished basements should take a closer look at both what coverage they have and how much coverage they have. Because when a basement's fully built out, a low limit can leave a pretty big hole. For many Michigan homeowners, the answer is yes. It makes sense to at least consider both. Flood insurance and water backup coverage are not duplicates. They handle different causes of loss. So if you have a basement, live in a lower lying area, have had drainage issues before, or just want broader protection, it may make sense to review both. This is especially true in areas where the heavy rain can create multiple water-related risks at the same time. The key point's simple. Having water backup coverage does not mean you have flood insurance. And having flood insurance does not automatically mean your homeowner's policy includes water backup coverage. They are separate conversations, and both matter. So if you only remember one thing from this video, let it be this. Not all basement water is covered the same way. Flood insurance covers one type of risk, water backup covers another. And standard homeowners policies may leave gaps if you have not reviewed it carefully. If you are a Michigan homeowner, especially here in Metro Detroit, this is something worth looking at before the next big storm hits. Thanks for watching The Insurance Dork, where we make sense of insurance without putting you to sleep.